Good evening and welcome to the Bullshit Channel. After watching some vids, some docs, and looking up some terms, the only thing I got to say is, holy PC bullshit, Batman. The terms I was I was looking up, the main one that I just couldn't figure out, hate speech is kind of self-explanatory, was microaggression. And the examples they gave were pretty stupid. Okay? If anybody took offense to that, I'd have to say, aw, poor butthurt baby. An example, being that I'm older, I remember this nursery rhyme. Ba ba black sheep, have you any wool? Just the fact I used the word black, somebody could take offense to that and I could be charged with hate speech, which in some places is starting to carry jail time, or at least a fine, or at least you'd have to go to court. What a crock of bullshit. I just don't understand it. Also, too, part of this PC bullshit is gender pronouns. Canada passed a law that basically it's considered hate speech if you don't use the proper pronoun for a person. Forget about Mr., forget about Mrs., Miss, and the one we all know from the women's movement, Ms. Now there are other ones, depending on if the person's transgender, if they're bisexual, if they're whatever. And we're talking stuff like GER, G-E-R, ZER, Z-E-R, and a whole plethora of other bullshit. The city of New York has passed a law that they recognize 31 different gender pronouns. I haven't looked them all up, but the one I thought particularly was funny and made me laugh was gender bender. And this applies to businesses. If a business inadvertently uses the wrong gender pronoun, dealing with the public, it could be upwards of a 6-figure fine. It's insane. And it seems, and from the research I've done, that it's the Democrats pushing this bullshit. The far left, what they call the postmodern movement. from a common sense standpoint, if I'm a shop owner and I run a deli, which are prevalent in New York, and a person that comes in for a sandwich and said person looks like a woman and you don't know this woman, how are you going to know she's a chick with a dick? So you're running your business and this woman, what looks like a woman, comes in and orders a pastrami on rye. And in the process of making it, you say, "Excuse me, miss, would you like mustard on that?" Well, if she's one of these social justice assholes, she could complain. And it just cost you 6 figures to make a pastrami sandwich. And that's just a city fine. That's not, some social justice lawyer jumps on that and there's no telling what kind of settlement you could end up having to pay just because you didn't know the lady was packing hardware. This is just totally insane. I have to say, I was a registered Democrat, but I gotta tell you, I no way, shape, or form do I consider myself a Democrat anymore. In fact, in the next elections, I'll probably be voting Libertarian. I find I have more in common with intelligent people than I do with postmodernist doofuses. You know, you can go on YouTube and you can find all these people. From all spectrums of the political landscape. And where did we go wrong? I have to say, I'm not for big business. I think big business is fucking us. I'm for environmental issues. I totally detest the Koch brothers and the pollution and the land and the air they're fucking ruining with their plants because they've bought off the EPA and they've had legislation passed that allows them to get away with it. I advocate gun rights. I think everybody should be able to own a gun if you fit the legal, whatever the legal requirements are now. They change them, so from day to day it seems like, so you don't know what until you go in and try to plunk down some bucks to buy a gun, if you're going to be able to succeed in doing that. I'm for free speech, and I'm also for minimal government. But our government's the only way really to make these big business assholes do what they're supposed to be doing, because they sure to hell ain't going to do it on their own. So that's to be worked out. I don't have the answer to that. But I'm definitely not a Republican. I'm definitely not a fucking Democrat. You know, I agree with most of the libertarian ideas. I said most, not all. Um, and this whole PC hate speak bullshit. Okay, like I said the other night in a video, Soros is backing to the tune of at least $33 million Black Lives Matters. And I've watched enough videos, and it's not just the white intellectuals that are saying this, it's the black, that Black Lives Matters are thugs. They're paid protesters. Martin Luther King's niece said they just need to stop. And, all their anti-white rhetoric, I wonder if these protesters and the people on the streets even know that they're being backed by a billionaire, the 30th richest man in the world, white guy. They don't they don't seem to have a problem with that. But the rest of us white people that, aren't supporting them with $33 million are pieces of shit and should be killed. And then you have the feminists. And there's both male and female feminists. And I have to wonder sometimes if these dudes that say they are ain't just trying to get laid. I seen videos today on the slut walk. What a crock of bullshit. It was a bunch of women, mostly youngins, that were marching in their underwear, saying basically you can't even look at them without being a male chauvinist rapist. And there was she's a sex therapist and counselor named Bettina Ardent in Australia. And I watched one of her videos today, and it was called The Politics of Cleavage. And she was talking about, they get a lot of these complaints of women being harassed and sexually harassed and all this other shit because some dude looked at their tits. And I have to agree with what she said. If they weren't on display, we wouldn't be looking at them. Now, I'm not, by no stretch of the imagination, a breast man. I'm legs and butt person. And if I see some young chick, I don't care if she is young enough to be my granddaughter, that I know is of age, comes walking by me and she's got her butt cheeks sticking out, I'm going to look at them. Sorry, that's just a fact of life. That doesn't mean I want to rape you. That doesn't mean I'm going to make some rude comment to you. In fact, you're probably not even going to know I looked. But the problem is women are doing this to get a chance to harass a man. They're admitting it. Some of the girls that women she's talked to have told her this. That they know exactly how they're dressed. They know exactly the reaction men are going to give them. And as long as the dude has deep pockets, they don't mind. But if some old dude like me, that's obviously I ain't no billionaire, would look at him, I would be called a dirty old man, a pervert, and a rapist. And the sad part of the thing is, I could be arrested for that. Because they might have felt threatened by me looking at their titties or their butt cheeks. You know, like I just said, if you don't want them looked at, don't put them on display, because once you go out into town, you cannot dictate who and who not is going to look at you. You have all rights in the world to wear what you want to wear, but every action has a consequence. That's just the way it is. And that doesn't mean that I'm a rapist. I've never raped a woman. In fact, I stopped 2 rapes. And it cost me a friend in one case because he was drunk, and I stopped him, and he didn't like me after that. But see, according to the feminists, all white people, white men, are misogynistic rapists. That's their, it's like the Black Lives Matters. If you say something they don't like, will label you a Nazi or a white supremacist. The feminists will label you a rapist, a misogynist. The gays, the LGBTQs will label you a homophobe. It's bullshit. It's a way, and being that it's, this crap's being backed by the Democrats, it's being backed by Democrats. I'm sure there's people in the Democratic Party that have no inkling that this shit's going on. Or if they do, they're not the ones doing it. But, you ever heard of guilt by association? It used to be pretty clear cut. Republicans were for business people. The Democrats were for the working man. And if you ask my father, who does not keep up on current affairs, he gets his information off of CNNBC and Fox and ABC, NBC. Actually, he gets his news from whichever news desk has the prettiest girls sitting behind it. He wouldn't believe me if I told him this shit. But he's 88 years old. Okay, I expect that. It's hard enough for a younger person to change their mind that's only been set in a certain way for a few years. But when you have a lifetime of stuff in your head, you think that's the way it's always going to be. And when this shit changes, it's just been in the last 2 years, from what I can tell in my research, that this shit has become a hot topic. And these postmodernists have inundated the colleges. They're teaching these kids that, you can't speak your mind because you're going to offend somebody. Well, I'm sorry. Our society was built on offending people. There's no idea that didn't come around without pissing somebody off. Whether it was somebody that thought they had a better idea or whatever, always been that way, and it's always going to be that way because you're always going to have opponents. You know, we're from what I understand, they say we're inbred for competition. You know, that men are geared that way or some bullshit. But you know, and I think there's some truth in that. But I also think that if you're halfway as intelligent, you can curb that. You know, it's getting to the point you can't even tell somebody "fuck you" anymore. You know, flipping people the bird's gonna be illegal. It's it's a crock of shit. You know, I thought Canada was at least halfway smart, but they friggin' passed a law. But see, what happened was also that's not gonna once the LGBTQ tribe, they keep throwing that term around, realize what that law did, because also part of that law, see, in the gay community, transgender, lesbian, you know, there's some pretty good science out there that, says that it's a biological thing that you're different. And it is what it is. But in the law, so you can have your zer and ger, and they even in that community in the LGBTQ, they want you to call them they. Single person, they want to be called they. And as far as I know, and if I remember English correctly from high school, they is a plural. It's not a singular. So not only do they want to make up words, they want to change our vocabulary. So now in school, when some kid in junior high school or high school is taking English, now there's a new definition for they. What the hell? You know? And the problem with that is, and it's the same thing that Peterson says, and he got a lot of notoriety up in Canada for speaking out against this crap. Jordan Peterson. I don't see how anybody could refute his argument because, I mean, it's based in fact, it's based in biology, it's based in science. And, I've always, to me, I'm not learning a whole new fucking language just to appease some butthurt LGBTQs. It ain't happening. It's just not. I'm not going to do it. It's friggin' stupid. Oh boy. I'm at a loss for any more words on the subject. If there was ever an indication that our society's sliding off into the abyss. It's this gender pronoun bullshit. That's all, and good night, and thanks for watching the Bullshit Channel.